use cases of Web3 through DePIN. Hello everyone, Daniel from depinhub here. Today we're interviewing Mark in a very different episode because not necessarily as close to one project. It's a very interesting event that's happening in Zurich. Let's talk a little bit about Breaking DePIN, the physical AI Unconference that's happening in Zurich, September 16 and 17, 2025. The upcoming Unconference explores the critical challenges ahead and how DePIN can unlock AI's full potential. Let's get started. Thanks so much for joining Mark the podcast. It's very cool to talk to you. Like we've seen each other so many times around the world, Singapore and Zurich a few months ago, and now here finally on the podcast. But let's get started by you introducing yourself and your background and what excites you in the world of DePIN.
Thanks, Daniel, also for having me today. Was very much looking forward to talking with you again. Yeah, background-wise, I'm a researcher at the University of Zurich, researching DAOs and also DePIN, in the periphery. Co-founded a successful DePIN, called Unocoin, in this GNSS industry, and currently building with YHI, DePIN at intersection with AI for weather intelligence. But what currently keeps me the most busy is, as you said, this DePIN Unconference, which will happen just next week. So very soon, let's talk about it. And you asked me what I find exciting about DePIN. In the end, I really like that crypto is making this step out of the digital realm into the physical world, and really getting some of these core values like the Web3 space has in common, this permissionless co-creation, co-ownership, these different concepts, and making people understand that they can have real-world benefits. And of course, at some level, also AI and robots and everything get connected, and that's what we're going to explore.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody who listens to the podcast know how excited I am about, this new phase of crypto, which is DePIN, which actually brings everything that people have been working and building for the past, let's say, 15 years to get to this point. Okay, DePIN is what blockchain was created for. For me, at least one of the main reasons why it's created for, right? So how did this Breaking DePIN came together? Because there was some event already a few months ago in Zurich, and now there's a second event. There's a bigger one. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it's in general, it's already a longer story with some history. So what we are overall trying to do is getting a physical presence of DePIN here in Switzerland. I think it would be a very suitable relationship of DePIN being here more strongly. I think there would be a lot of synergies, and in order to kind of get to know each other, the ecosystem here, to DePIN, but also DePIN, the ecosystem which is existing here already. We had a series of events and beforehand which we called DePIN Days. We had 3 of them, 2 on energy and 1 on sensors, where we kind of explored these Unconference which we're going to have now in a smaller format. So we had these open space technology sessions where the agenda was co-created by the participants, and then more classic style meetup, which we're going to mirror now at Unconference, where we first start with these classical conference style, a lot of presentations, informal, more semi-formal setup. And then on the second day, we have this Unconference format.
It's really interesting because, I was there in Zurich, and then in the previous one, and it was super cool, just to get to know and get to see how exciting actually the Zurich ecosystem around crypto. We already know that Switzerland is a very, very big country when it comes to crypto companies, right? Because there's so many companies being, registered and in Zug. For example, even the Ethereum Foundation, I believe is there, a lot of other DePIN projects. How is the country helping with this whole idea of not just blockchain, but also DePIN? Because I remember you mentioned something about the Gotthard Tunnel, and how does that help? What's the story behind that, and what is the parallel of that with DePIN?
I think Switzerland has quite a tradition when it comes to infrastructure. They're most famous for chocolate cheese and the financial place, financial hub, I think, here. But they also have this engineering tradition. And in my opinion, and many others, this engineering tradition came first. So what the Swiss people, actually, they were a very poor country in the mid-19th centuries. And then they made this major leap forward, just one ideas to getting from a very poor place to a very rich one. And what somehow stands at the beginning is like this Gotthard tunnel, like a very big tunnel, which connects like the Italian part and the German, French-speaking parts in Switzerland. And it was actually a really big challenge to build this tunnel. And what the Swiss people did, they started a financial institution to finance this tunnel, which in the end became Credit Suisse, which is now part of the UBS and kind of started the banking sector. But at the same time, this engineering knowledge came from a university, which was called ETH Zurich. So it was the first time that this university got like world fame in constructing something engineering heavy. And nowadays, like a lot of researchers which are known, they come from ETH Zurich, like Albert Einstein, but also Wattenhofer now, who's like redesigning the consensus in Solana to kind of a very known institution. And one could say that in the beginning was this vision of infrastructure, like building an infrastructure, which then led to the emergence of all these other things, which in the end defining the Swiss society now. And I see DePIN again as such a vision, potentially like building a new Gotthard, which in the end will enrich the society in Switzerland, but all over the world. I mean, I don't need to tell you, I think you're seeing it, but getting this like kind of the meme we're working with for this Unconference, like kind of the new digital Gotthard, which DePIN is. And so that's, and I think because of this, like the Swiss society is like very, I think it will resonate. So they will like it, I think, and start more thinking this direction. And in general, as you said, like the Swiss ecosystem is very, very open towards crypto, which on the one hand is like because of this local autonomy. I think everything started with Zug, like Ethereum Foundation went there, like in the beginning, kind of starting this crypto valley narrative. They found a regulatory environment where they could start something like a foundation for crypto. But also the local mayor could just decide to accept taxes being paid in Bitcoin or Ethereum. So kind of it resulted in this outburst of crypto innovation here. And through this, like the Swiss society is very highly penetrated with blockchain. I think everyone has heard of it. Most people have a very positive sentiment towards it. There are advertisements everywhere. When you leave the airport, you see it everywhere. So it's basically very present. And also in these engineering companies, which we saw in our DePIN days and beforehand. So we are able to motivate the largest energy provider to join our circles. They will also come now again for the Unconference. And we are kind of starting these discussions now, like to how to manifest it here.
Yeah, I like how you guys are you can work together with the country and try to build this kind of like a DePIN hub in a way, right? In Zurich.
Yeah, we see it as the kind of a physical platform here in Switzerland. That's not, that's like kind of, we see it as a minor contribution. It's fully community organized.
Why would you say that is the main advantages to be actually a company in Switzerland? Is like regulatory clarity, talent, capital, neutrality, and what is still lacking in the country to get more and more people to join?
I think the openness towards the technology is like the biggest selling point here. Like it's very easy to talk with policymakers and industry people. So everyone has heard of it, and very few people have a very negative perception of it. So it's like very positive regarded in the end. The biggest blocker, I think, is like on the one hand, like its success in DeFi a bit, and also the DAO ecosystem. I would argue because like it's kind of well-established DeFi in Switzerland. All the banks are in it, and for many people, it's like seen as a financial topic, so to say. And those who are in Web3, they are very close to this. I mean, they don't really have the tendency to look for something else, so it's like kind of difficult to motivate them. And then, like for the industry, like more traditional people who are not in Web3, showing them that crypto is also more than just finance. That's like kind of the educational step, which still needs to happen on a lot of levels, I would argue. And then, I think regulatory clarity is there for many aspects, but we just identified like here and there like roadblocks for DePIN projects also in Switzerland. I mean, through our practical experience, but also through discussions. One is like, for example, that the burn and mint token model is not so easily implementable here. Like the data credit token can be seen as a payment token. And in this sense, there are like some regulatory things around it, which makes it more expensive to deploy such a model. And ideally would shift this. I think it's there are small adjustments which need to be done. We are still trying to get someone from FINMA, from the Financial Markets Authority in Switzerland. We're in discussion with them. They might be joining our event. And then we're trying to get this rolling with these discussions.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of work ahead, right? But it's really interesting to see that at least there's an interest in building this and helping and growing this from the regulatory side. I think it's very important to bring some clarity and some peace of mind when you're actually building something.
Yes, I mean, there are very positive trends in the US. There was this initiative, I think, Helium and some other major DePINs, and they did amazing work and kind of this really inspiring also here. So we use this as a talking point. Here also with people, look, Switzerland should be advanced. The US is heading forward, and we really see now these beneficial enrichment. So one ecosystem, physical ecosystem, US may be stepping forward, and now kind of the Swiss ecosystem need to innovate. And I think overall for the Web3 industry, it's very beneficial that different, environments trying to push and be competitive in the end to each other.
Can you give a little bit of a list of a few projects, DePIN projects that are building in Switzerland?
We have over 20, and basically in all domains, in sensor, we have Unocoil, of course, WeatherXM is based here. We have the connectivity networks, Streamer, I think is one which everyone knows, but then also Wi-Fi Map and Hopper. For example, we have energy with Power Ledger, a project which I ICO'd already in 2017. They will also be present at our conference. Aegis Alliance, you met them at the circle. We have storage solutions with Impossible Cloud and compute, Accuras, which is kind of bringing compute to the phone. And then we have I think still developing, there are not so many, but this AI, also moving to the AI domain, with YHI we're doing it. Interlock is there. So it's already a very rich ecosystem, but I would argue that most interactions are still very virtual and kind of bringing physically people together. There's some value. And so we are trying to now this capital, kind of leverage on this capital and see what will emerge from this in the end.
Yeah, I know exactly. I mean, what you guys are building is what I wish there was more people doing in different countries around the world, right? Getting everybody together in one place to discuss how to move forward. And but let's talk a little bit more about the Unconference. Can you tell how did it started, and what are the main goals that you want to achieve on this event?
I mean, it was initiated actually by Mark Degen, a forward-thinking person here in Switzerland, who had this vision to kind of give it more presence. I mean, maybe also because of me, because I was nudging him since 1 or 2 years and telling him we need to do more. And then at some point, we used kind of his ecosystem to start pushing into this direction. And I mean, goals, I think, varied as we're also community organizing it. I guess everyone has different goals. I can speak for myself. And I mean, one is really getting the Swiss ecosystem wake up to this very amazing thing, which is DePIN. So and also in some extent the European ecosystem, both, and it's very interlocked here. But on the other hand, I think really not to, and this was also our motivation from the beginning, also with Mark Degen together, not to repeat maybe some of the mistakes overall crypto Web3 was doing, this I would argue we often overpromise great solutions and then under-deliver. In the end, a lot of people burn their fingers, their rug pulls, but also just projects breaking together because maybe there was no product these things. So we have seen this a lot. And I see some signs on the wall that might also happen in DePIN, but I think we still have all the potential and capital and people. I mean, also you, we talk a lot about this, kind of the willingness to be different this time. And I think DePIN is really this promising thing because we're so close to real world needs and problems. And then the reason for this conference now, or the goal is to really have participants from this real world, bigger industry providers. So for example, we have Axpo, this energy provider coming and really telling again what their pain points are in energy, and we will combine them with DePIN startups, which will talk together, and then we have these breakout sessions to really see if there can be solution developed. I'm just from talking with this Axpo representative, and he had some challenges, more on the battery end and how to find them, a little bit going to real world assets, so it's all together, but they might be a little bit different on one DePIN projects are working and getting this under one head. This would be really cool. And then also, of course, policymakers like waking them up towards it and kind of giving DePIN projects this physical connection. So that's to real world challenges. That's my personal goal, so that we deliver what we promise.
Yeah. And one thing that I spend a lot of time thinking as well is like for a lot of crypto projects, I like to think that DePIN is kind of the share economy 2.0, like the new Uber, the new Airbnb, in a way that you can get people without having necessarily to hire people to have a hotel room, which is someone's house. When does a project need a token or not?
Probably, I would say like most DePIN projects would need it. Like if it's a DePIN project, we can discuss a little bit about when it is. I think where it gets interesting is like the next step. Like, the kind of in the Web3 1.0 with Bitcoin like this, like I think the incentives were there to incentivize rational actors very strongly. So kind of it's a very economic game for these miners. And I would argue like with DePIN, we are still on that level. So there are some also like communities again forming, but in the end, the miners are very rational people. And they're like tokens or like classical tokens. They're very good in incentivizing rational actors. I think at some point when we maybe progress, like not saying that I'm a fan of all of these developments, but like in general, like if you start to also incentivize non-rational actors, like maybe broader parts of the communities, that where you have irrational behavior, but maybe also where you need intrinsic motivation. These type of aspects, a token might actually be harmful, as it can crowd out intrinsic motivation or destroy community. So we have seen it a little bit in gaming. As soon as you start paying people and it becomes like a job, they don't enjoy it so much anymore. So like I think there's some challenges with integrating incentives. And this we might see more. I don't see this problem as much in DePIN, to be honest. Here it's more like the question, I think, how to design the token and arguably, if you already have the infrastructure, because we also have, we have a paper on it, like with Urosh also, like from Entropy, and also like two of the co-authors will be present at our Unconference, like Heinrich Nax, professor from the University of Zurich, and Christoph Paro from Token Engineering Labs. So we have this paper on the mint token model, and that in the long run, one could also just use the stable coin and kind of what comes in as payments, you could redistribute, basically. But I think in the very early days, when you want to build out, you need to kind of crowdsource investment cost into such infrastructure. Tokens are very suitable. I think it's the most effective way we have and we know. And also a token is very nice for coordination. Yeah, it kind of provides this information signal to the community, what is beneficial behavior and whatnot. So I would argue if you really try to scale and be broad cross-country and like have a lot of community and kind of building this complex ecosystem, a token is very much needed. I don't see so many ways around it.
I think it's definitely required to have a token in order to be able to very cheaply build this network without actually having to start from the beginning, actually giving cash, because a lot of these companies, when they started the idea of the project, they have tokens, which is free until there's proper value, right? Another question is token first or product first?
I think there are still scenarios where token first is a viable thing or maybe necessary thing. But I think as long as you are unsure as a project, then it should be definitely be product first. But if you're like sure that, there might be scenarios where you don't want to have a product, or where the product might be not something economically feasible. There might be these projects. Then token first could be a very viable strategy. Or if you need the infrastructure definitely for the product. They're like scenarios, but I think if you're not clearly sure about your product, really your product, and you know that someone would buy it, then this might be the right direction to first investigate. This connects what I was saying before, like that this real world connection needs to be solved. And I think in order to DePIN demonstrate that it's viable, it needs to connect and solve real world challenges. And you only solve them when you have a product which is borked. Yeah. And we saw this, for example, with YHI. We were in our first situation more in this data and collecting weather data, selling weather data, and just noticed that there's no real weather data market and no one is willing to pay. Everyone is saying, oh, weather data would be nice, sure, but then if you kind of put the pistol, no one's paying. And we realized that there are not so many paying data markets. And in Unocoin, this genus realm, it's different because there is an existing data market for this correction data. But in most places, I have not really seen it. So that kind of, this is learning, and then I think you start focusing, okay, what can then be the product, and then you maybe pivot or you need to do something else. And I think before you really have this worked out, launching a token can help, but it also will distract a lot. I think we've seen this, like you get more people interested, you need to answer the community, answer investors, answer like all these regulations, all these things, like everything. I mean, there's a complexity involved, and you're not so quick anymore. You will get slower.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think there's so many variables when you're trying to build a project. Like trying to build a company is already hard. And then you try to do like on a Web3 with DP, and sometimes you have hardware, fulfillment, manufacturing. There's so many levels of complexity, right?
And in the end, it's a microeconomy you're building, not even economic. I mean, it's complex.
Yeah, for example, when I think about talking first, a product first, there's a lot of companies that are trying to do first like points, like Wingbaits, for example. They're actually growing quite well. They're growing, but they're trying to do points first, and then later they're going to do a token. Or if they want to do token first, a lot of companies use that as some sort of fundraise mode, like some sort of like an ICO style node sale. And I think the cool thing is like there's so many cool projects doing different things, and it's interesting to see the companies who are trying to build real value, real companies, all trying to do different things and see what works, because it has never been done before, right?
We're in this learning stage, and I feel like yesterday I was asked like in the space like how to build like a viable tokenomics. I think it's like really building on the past and then changing. But you should not copy, because when you copy, you will also fail. And then really adapting things which work for your scenario, or if you have a deep intuition, then do something new. But I think just reinventing the wheel doesn't work, but just copying also doesn't work. So it's like kind of this collective learning we're doing in the space, and I think crypto is quite fast. Every half a year we have new things, and which is good. Sometimes maybe we need to stick a bit more to things which are also working, but I think we're quite good in that. We see with Burn and Mint, I would argue, like Helium found something, and a lot of projects were copying. Then we did some adjustments, maybe some deflationary aspects, some other stuff to different regulations. But in the end, it's like a really great innovation we have as a tool. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I see. Also, I think a lot of companies, when they have they release the token, they adjust a lot of the metrics and the mint and burn mechanism. Also, they can change the percentages with time. They realize, I mean, you just look at Helium, right? They have one token. They went to 3 tokens. Now we're back to agency only. So they also trying to learn and iterate from that. Let's going back to the Unconference. Who is the right person to join the conference that would be interested in learning and participating?
I mean, we have a small bias towards from participants who have signed up, and maybe to whom we are talking is participants, not speakers. Speakers, but it was quite easy to motivate different participants, but like from participants or where tickets sales the most is the existing Web3 ecosystem, like DePIN core. I mean, if you're in DePIN, you should really be there, in my opinion. Could be a far way to travel, but if you're in Europe, you definitely should come around. And from other places, if you have the means, drop by. It will get really cool. So like kind of this DePIN core, and then now like since 2 or 3 weeks we really see like Web3 people from Switzerland, like not too much connected with DePIN, joining and wanting to be part of this discussion, which makes us really, really happy and kind of gives us a validation. So it's like kind of if you're in Web3 already and you're close, and really come by, you will we have like some introductory things like in the beginning. We will have really top-notch discussions. We will have really cool panels on business models in DePIN, DePIN adoption, but also for the policymakers, for the lawyers, we have some content there. And and if you're not in Web3 and you just heard about it, there might be some engineering topics. Come around. If you're a policymaker and you heard can solve some of your infrastructure issues, come around. So there will be a space, and like the first day will be a very quick onboarding, And then you will have so much input that on the second day we can start discussing. You will have one night to process, and then we will discuss, and then there will be a lot of room to explore ideas.
Amazing. Yeah, I think even if you're just curious about this topic, make sure to check it out because there's a lot of things that you can learn. And if the Breaking DePIN succeed, what do you expect for it next time? When do you plan to do the next one?
I mean, we need to see, like, we're a group of volunteers, and then I think we're very we're going currently at our limits, like for all of those who are contributing. We need to see, you can put this onto more sustainable legs that there might be, I mean, in any shape or form, we're very open. So like if someone's thinking this direction, should come to us. There are like different players in Swiss ecosystem who might be interested to get it under their umbrella, would be nice. So we have the loose goal to do it next year again. So like in 1 year, so like probably half a year would be too short, but we will definitely have smaller DePIN activities throughout the year. So one more on the research end will happen in November already. So there will be an academic conference, and there will be a side workshop, basically DePIN workshop financed by Accurust at the moment, where we'll discuss more on an academic level DePIN. So like this will happen, and we might do a DePIN day out of that. So we will maybe have them presenting and also circle again. This is for November, so we can already say, and then we will see where this goes to.
Yeah, it's nice. I think it's really interesting if Switzerland could become one of the big hubs around the world with conferences.
Yeah, we have actually another option. Like next week, basically the week after our conference, we did on purpose. We have CB Summit, which is like the largest conference in Switzerland, and we're also trying to instill there some DePIN topics, and let's see where this goes. Yeah.
And no, that's super interesting. Imagine in a couple of weeks there's going to be Korea Blockchain Week, then Singapore for token, then people can go to Switzerland.
Because I saw you also you're in Korea. Like you will be I saw DePin Hub popping up. Sounds very also really coming in Korea.
It's going to be my first time going to the Korea Blockchain conference. I'm very excited about that. I've been trying to go the previous years, but I think they shifted the date now. And then I can go, and it's actually right before Token 2049 in Singapore. So, it's going to be a no-brainer to go check it out and try to promote and DePIN and get all the companies there involved.
Yeah, I will follow this. I don't have too many connections to Korea right now, but very interesting, would be cool. I think everyone has an interest to get all these different things interconnected. I mean, yeah.
The more people trying to help and grow the space, the better, right? Like it's something that I like that people trying to build real companies and real products, and that's something that really excites me comparing to meme coins and all the other nonsense that happen in Web3.
Yes, and I think that really I see also growing this pie together, and the pie is bigger. We all will benefit in some level. Either it's intrinsically motivated, idealistic, but it's also just monetarily. So we really should pull on one string.
Absolutely. So how can people participate? Where they can get the tickets? Where actually is going to be the location, the dates, etc.?
Yeah, location. Date is very soon. So next week, 16, 17 September, 25, whenever you watch this. And tickets, we currently have a flash sale. I don't know if the podcast will be out there. So we're offering right now very much reduced tickets to the early bird price, but just for 2 days. But we have a very cheap option for students and also startups. So if you're startups which is kind of not funded yet, we also have very cheap tickets for you. Otherwise, you can buy tickets. We have volunteers, but we can never have too many volunteers. If you want to volunteer, there will be very attractive constellations. We might still also have a room for you. So if you fly in, we could have a room for volunteer, I think. So this could be an option. We have on the Monday, basically with Tuesday, Wednesday, our Unconference, with a pre-conference day, which is a conference, and then the Unconference. But on the Monday before, so it will be a 3-day thing in the evening, we already have a Crypto Monday scheduled on the topic of DePIN and physical AI, where also Jonas Hahn from the Solana Foundation will be coming and speaking. I will be there promoting Breaking DePIN, of course, and we'll have some discussions around this topic. Registration is free. And there might be also something on the Thursday, kind of a more chilled event after the conference, which is still in the making. So it will be a small DePIN week.
And where can people go to learn more about what's the website, Twitter, whatever account, how can they get up to date with everything that's happening?
Yes, I mean, for the Unconference itself, like you definitely you need to follow, like you need to check our website. There's like all the speakers and everything announced there. We are the most present on LinkedIn actually, because the Swiss Web3 ecosystem is very LinkedIn heavy. And there we also posted educational content and also kind of more insights over the speakers and everything. You find them on LinkedIn. And we're also on X, where we also do some activities. So like X on LinkedIn, you can follow, and X definitely announce also news developments. LinkedIn is kind of where we also share knowledge. And the website, these are the places you find more out, more. You will learn more about us.
Yeah, you can sure to check out the links we're going to put in the description of the podcast, or on YouTube, on LinkedIn, or anywhere that you follow this. Well, any last words that you'd like to tell our listeners, Mark?
You really should come around. Would be nice. You know, like I think it could be a very crucial moment in time. I think all the signs look good. We should use the moment. So like we can only be active now, like not in the future, not in the past. So come around. If you face bottlenecks with tickets or location, everything, we already have a community here. So like, I think we will find solutions. So we can be creative. So just ping me or ping the team, and the more the merrier. Come around.
Thanks so much for joining the podcast, Mark. It's a pleasure to talk with you. I wish we're gonna have another episode so we can talk more in depth about DePIN, tokenomics, go crazy, because we didn't have a lot of time today. But we definitely hope to see you soon around the world, or in Zurich, or in Lisbon, or in some other event, and geek out together like we always do. So thanks so much.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.